Hello and welcome to this video looking at the QU32 soundboard from Alan and Heath. My name's Andrew and I'm the pastor at Calvary Baptist Church in Wetaskiwin, Alberta. And we're going to look at this soundboard today to try and sort out how to set up a channel for the very first time. And so let's say you've got a new microphone that you'd like to set up on a particular channel. So we'll look here at channel 20 and look at how to set it up. So the first thing that we want to do is select the channel and unmute it. Now I don't have a microphone in here right at the moment, but we're just going to walk through what might happen. So if you have already developed a channel and saved the information for that channel in the computer's memory, then all that needs to be done is to come up here to the function button while you've selected something on this screen, and the word library will be here for the function button. And so by pressing the function button and then the user library, we have all of the saved settings that we've set up for particular individuals. And so if the person who you would like to have that channel prepared for is available here, you select and recall to have the settings pop right in. And so you only really need to set a channel up once. And once you've done so, then you can simply recall those settings if you save them. So if we go into library and we say store new, I could then save these settings under a new name and be able to quickly and easily recall them later on because it will be in the bank that is available. But let's say that we are not using an existing person. What we want to do is reset the channel by holding down the reset button and pressing the select button for that channel. And what we're going to do is set it up from scratch. So the first thing we're going to do is look at our gain. And the gain is the amount of volume coming into the channel that sets it properly so that there is a good amount of signal coming in. And this is going to be different based on whether you are setting up for a guitar or a bass or an electric guitar or a piano or a human voice. And generally speaking, the setting for a particular type of microphone for a particular type of singer ought to be fairly close in terms of the gain setting. You want to set the gain appropriately so that there is a proper amount of signal coming into the board. Ordinarily, we would listen and watch the green going up and down, and once the green line was coming up to about there, then we would be satisfied that we were getting a good amount of signal. Then we might want to turn on our high-pass filter. And if you can see it here, there is a purple line which has a curve cutting off the low-end frequency. So a high-pass filter allows the higher frequencies on the EQ to pass while limiting the lower frequencies. The high passes, the low is cut. You can also have a low cut filter, which allows the low frequencies through, but cuts out the upper frequencies. And so it would be a curve on the other end of the spectrum. These are also referred to as a low cut or a high cut. So a high pass and a low cut are the same thing. Next, after gain and high pass filter, we have our EQ channels, and there are 4 bands allowing us to adjust the level based on frequency. And so I'm going to turn up the gain on the low, and you will see here that there is a curve which has come on the lower frequencies on the left half of the graph. Using frequency, I can sweep that back and forth to focus on just the particular frequencies that I want to adjust. And then I can use width to tighten or broaden the frequencies that I'm affecting. And as a general rule, when you are cutting and it goes below the line and you're cutting frequencies out, you want for that to be narrow. You want to attenuate very finely when you found a problem frequency and just cut out that one frequency. When you are boosting and you are increasing the EQ, generally you want for that to be a very broad and very subtle boost. You don't want to do a lot of boosting because there is greater risk of feedback when you boost frequencies, and you want it to be a broad and subtle increase, not a sharp and specific increase. And so by going through all of the EQ channels, we can fine-tune exactly where we want to cut or boost the various frequencies. And we can turn that on and off with the button here. Next, we have our noise gate. So I'm going to select the noise gate here, and you can see that on this channel, if I turn that on, there is a red line coming down from the top indicating that because the sound isn't high enough to pass the threshold, the entire channel is being suppressed. This is very useful when you have a guitar that's got a little bit of buzz to it. And so in order to limit that buzz being able to come through, we want to adjust our threshold to the point where if we are seeing the green line coming up from the bottom, even when no one's playing that guitar, we want to make sure that the threshold is higher than the bouncing green line of buzz and noise. And when we raise the threshold higher than the point of the sound, when nobody's playing and the sound isn't high enough to pass the threshold, it will be suppressed and no sound will come through. So this is a way of cleaning up the sound and making sure that when somebody puts down their guitar, if the guitar is noisy in and of itself, even when it's not being played, the gate allows us to suppress that sound. There are other settings that we won't go into today of depth, attack, release, hold, which control when exactly the suppression is applied and when it's released. We've already looked at the EQ, and we've also got our compressor settings. When we use the compressor, it allows us to take the loudest sounds in the signal and compress them from the top. So if medium level sounds are coming through, they're unaffected. But when really loud sounds are coming through, those are automatically pulled down by a percentage. So currently the ratio is 3.2 to 1. And that means that if the sound goes above the threshold by 3.2 decibels, it will be lowered back down to 1 decibel above the threshold. If it goes 6.4 above the threshold, it will be lowered down to 2 above the threshold. So for every 3.2 it goes above, it will be pulled back 2.2 to be only a little bit above. And that means if we've got an electric guitar that sometimes gets really loud, rather than having to draw down the fader constantly, we can set it to automatically reduce that sound anytime that it gets too loud. And then we've got our pan, which takes the stereo image and shifts it to the left or to the right. Then once we've got everything set up, we can raise our fader up to be the appropriate level, and then go to different mixes and apply channel to our monitors, to our secondary monitor, for in-ears. And in this way, we can have the sound going to each of those different outputs in a way that is proper. So I hope that's been useful and that this is going to be easy for you to manage. Thanks so much for listening. Have a great day. God bless.